Tonight, police are investigating after a woman's body was found on a quiet property in Outer Cove.
A normally quiet road in Outer Cove is a possible crime scene today. A woman's death has been deemed suspicious by police.
The RNC responded to a call for service here in Outer Cove, which resulted in locating a deceased person inside a property here just off of Outer Cove Road.
An oral surgeon who guided a correctional officer through the removal of a sedated inmate's teeth was in Gander Court today for sentencing submissions. We'll have that story coming up on Here and Now.
There needs to be an investigation. It is scandalous. It is unbelievable.
About whether the Premier's office was involved in controversial and expensive nursing contracts.
This is CBC Here and Now.
Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. We start in Outer Cove tonight, where the RNC is investigating a suspicious death. Here and Now's Terry Roberts has our top story.
Liam Drive is a very quiet gravel road. Just 3 occupied homes, 1 business. About 100 meters away, Outer Cove Road. But today, Liam Drive is a possible crime scene. RNC officers were called to the scene just before 10 this morning and made a grim discovery: a deceased woman.
We do believe this death to be suspicious.
The woman's remains were found on the property beyond these trees. The house has been vacant for about a decade. Across the street from the house, there's this vehicle, behind yellow tape. Neighbors say it hasn't been seen here before. Just a few hundred meters away, this kindergarten to grade 6 school. But police say there was no threat to public safety. School continued, including outside play.
The investigation is ongoing, and it's very much an information gathering phase. So as more information becomes available, we'll provide updates to the community.
RNC investigators and forensic specialists are investigating. It's up to the chief medical examiner to determine if the woman's death was a homicide. Terry Roberts, CBC News, Outer Cove.
The province's health minister says they know they need to expand access to MRIs in the province. Tom Osborne is responding to a story we brought you last night on Here and Now about Alana McDonald. She's a mother of 3 living in St. John's who will soon head to Halifax for major brain surgery. She spent nearly 2 years with severe migraines before getting an MRI that showed she has a brain tumor. She believes that outcome could have been different if she had an MRI sooner. There are 5, soon to be 6 machines in Newfoundland and Labrador with a current wait time of 427 days. Health Minister Tom Osborne says they're looking to expand hours of operation of the MRIs, but says missed appointments are another reason for the long wait times.
There's still about a 5% no-show rate for MRIs in the province. So we need to do a better job of educating the public on the cost of missed appointments, and the fact that 5% month over month, year over year adds up and certainly adds to the wait list in the province. So we have some work to do to educate the public and public promotional campaigns to ensure that people do the best they can to make their appointments when necessary.
Documents obtained by the official opposition question statements made by government officials regarding travel nurse expenses. The Premier and Health Minister have said the provincial health authorities are responsible for travel nurse contracts that cost more than $36 million in 5 months last year. The documents tell another story. Here Now's Mark Quinn reports.
It is scandalous. It is unbelievable that a government would be able to sit back and say, not our problem. We didn't do it. We had no idea it was happening.
Today in the House of Assembly, the opposition questioned the government's assertion that travel nurses that cost tens of millions of dollars were hired by the health authorities alone.
Yesterday, both the Premier and the Minister of Health were distancing themselves from this and saying that it was all the health authorities doing, they had nothing to do with it. And yet the evidence doesn't point that way.
One document shows that in 2022, then Health Minister John Haggie approved expenditures to contract Canada Health Labs. Another document shows the Premier's office was contacted by Canada Health Labs before its travel nurses were hired. Opposition leader Tony Wakeham said Canada Health Labs was brought into this province through the Premier's office.
That is absolutely not the case. I understand the opposition wanting to play politics with this. They are the opposition, but the record has to be set straight. The Premier's office, my office, every minister's office, every deputy minister's office receive emails, especially through the pandemic, with people offering to help.
Osborne says he approved spending for one contract for travel nurses since he became the health minister, but Wakeham thinks there's more to it than that.
It wasn't just the fact that the health authorities did it on their own. They got their mandate from the government, from the Premier's office, from the Minister of Health's office, and their staff were directly involved. The executives of the department were directly involved in those contracts and knew what was in them. This needs to be investigated by the RCMP and the Auditor General.
Osborne has said repeatedly that he wants to end the province's reliance on travel nurses, but they aren't gone yet. It's an issue that will likely have Osborne on his feet again in the House of Assembly. Mark Quinn, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, a dentist accused of allowing a jail guard pull teeth from an inmate is asking the court to give him a discharge. Dr. Louis Bourget was charged with assault in October 2020 and pleaded guilty in September. Today, he testified at a sentencing hearing in a Gander Supreme Court. CBC's Troy Turner was there and has the story.
Dr. Louis Bourget says his career is over unless the court grants him a discharge. Over 27 years, he's treated about 120,000 patients and he's extracted about 85,000 teeth. He told the court he doesn't want that work to end over what he calls a lapse in judgment, due in part to the stresses of the pandemic. That lapse in judgment is when he sedated an inmate patient in a Gander clinic and guided a correctional officer through extracting 4 of that inmate's teeth. He pleaded guilty and was suspended by dental associations in Nova Scotia and Newfoundland and Labrador. During sentencing submissions today, Bourget says he has good hands and a good head and wants to keep using them. A conviction, he says, will mean further sanctions from dental associations and an end to his career. The incident was recorded by another correctional officer on his phone. And in court today, Bourget described the incident and said the guard never extracted the teeth, that he only picked them up after they were loosened by Bourget. He said there was no risk of physical harm to the patient. Defense attorney Randy Piercy outlined Bourget's work history, his extensive volunteer and mission work, and the turmoil he's faced as a result of the incident. Emotional at times, Bourget told the court he feels he let everyone down and feels terrible. While the defense is asking for an absolute discharge, the Crown is looking for 3 months house arrest. Crown attorney Tina Walsh said she believes Bourget does regret his decision and he is at a very low risk to reoffend. But the fact that the victim was sedated at the time and that Bourget was in a high degree of a position of trust makes it more serious. Bourget will be sentenced in Gander April 9th. Troy Turner, CBC News, Gander.
Well, police have laid more sexual violence charges against a Paradise teacher and volleyball coach, saying 10 more people have come forward. Marcus Hicks is now facing 63 new charges. That brings the total number of charges up to 150, involving 24 survivors. He's accused of posing as other people and using at least 27 different social media accounts to lure both men and women. The RNC had laid 49 new charges in September. Well, today, police say they have uncovered tens of thousands of images and videos related to the case dating back 15 years. With
an event of this nature, once this comes in and when we're looking to investigate, we assign a major case management team, which is essentially, an organizational format to investigating such a significant amount of information. and relying upon resources from multiple departments of the RNC. So you're looking at a total of, up to 27 fictitious accounts, with tens of thousands of photos and video. It's a significant amount of content and requires, essentially that extensive level of experience and investigation.
Well, Newfoundland and Labrador is the only province in Canada that intends to imprison some migrants. This despite the Canada Border Services Agency saying detention should always be treated as a last resort. The CBSA says detention should only be used when alternative solutions in the community aren't possible. It's a controversial practice, holding migrants when there are administrative concerns or questions about their identity and housing them in the same facilities as criminally charged or convicted individuals. Every other province in the country has pledged to no longer imprison people under the Immigration and Refugee Protection Act. Amnesty International says people are being deprived of their liberties in prison and that this province's practice is too extreme.
In many cases, they're subject to really some of the worst conditions in detention that you can have, like solitary confinement, people being chained, people being handcuffed. And what we've seen is that migrants who are subject to this kind of detention, the impact on their mental health is really significant. In many cases, people develop suicidal ideations, especially in cases where the experiences that they're fleeing that brought them to come to Canada were particularly traumatizing in the first place. And so we have situations where people are being re-traumatized by their detention experience in Canada.
And according to Border Services, 6 immigration detainees were imprisoned here last year, though no one is being held at the moment. Meanwhile, the province's justice minister says there are no formal policies in place that places immigrant detainees in prison. He says decisions are made on a case-by-case basis, and the numbers are, quote, lower than low. He spoke with Radio Canada's Patrick Butler.
CBSA is never going to build a facility here for detainees because, as I said, they just don't exist here. The numbers are basically non-existent, right? I mean, I'd say low, but they're lower than low. If you said, what are we trying to do? Are we trying to increase or decrease the population at HMP? I think everybody knows the answer is decrease the population, not to put more people in there.
Yeah, but are those people going, those 6 people, did they end up in HMP?
I don't have the answer to that, but everybody doesn't end up at HMP in the province. There's other facilities in the province, like, Bishops, for example.
Well, have a look at this video shared by the Joint Rescue Coordination Center. It shows crews responding to a call here on the island last Friday. Someone living in a remote area had broken their hip and needed assistance. The 103 Search and Rescue Squadron in Gander responded to the call. They airlifted the individual, bringing them to the Gander Hospital.
Another lovely day here in the east. The sun just setting. Pretty nice out there. Temperature sitting around 1 degree at the moment. We've got a bit of a wind chill, feeling more like -4 in St. John's. Those winds, the southwest, anywhere from 20 to as much as 30 kilometers per hour at times. And those temperatures started pretty chilly today. We bottomed out at -8 in St. John's, but topped off at about +3. So we do have much more warm air, at least for the next 24 hours, expected to move in. We've got an area of low pressure just to the north there with a couple of fronts. So areas like Lab City or Lab West anyway, where you're seeing those mild temperatures today, there is some cold air on the backside of this area of low pressure so your temperatures tomorrow are going to be much cooler, but there is a lot of warm air still to the south. We've got one area of low pressure there. That one's going to move some rain through our region, or at least the island region of the province, as we head through tomorrow. And then this one, our next weather maker, this one will be a little colder. Environment Canada already has some special weather statements in effect. I'll talk all about it a little later.
Thanks, Ashley. While there are bright spots, the number of wild Atlantic salmon in some parts of the province are way down. This, according to Fisheries and Oceans' latest salmon stock assessment. The CBC's Todd O'Brien has more on that.
19 rivers were assessed. On the island of Newfoundland, 10 of 15 rivers are in the critical zone. Rivers on the west coast and south coast have seen some dramatic declines. Yukon River, at one point in the 80s, numbered in around 10,000 salmon returning each year. Now, for the last number of years, that's in the low 100s.
Hard to say for sure, because we are certainly seeing on average lower survival on the South Coast rivers in general. Not just in Bay d'Espoir and Fortune Bay, but even some years Rocky River survival is down. However, there is in that region, you do have extra anthropogenic influences like aquaculture industry and things like that. We do know from other regions of the world that can certainly have some impacts on smolt survival and migration through disease and sea lice transmission.
Labrador isn't faring so well either. One river is in the healthy zone while 3 others are in the critical zone. Muddy Bay Brook went from 428 fish to just 42 fish this year.
The problem with marine conditions is that there's a whole host of different things that can be influencing them at sea. Prey distribution and availability, predator abundance, sea surface temperatures, etc. So we have a whole host of factors, and the reality is, given the huge extent spatially of our region, these factors are probably influencing populations differently within the ocean.
But not all is gloomy. The Exploits River and the English River continue to do well. DFO Science has a tagging program that they'll continue in the coming months.
So previously I've used acoustic tags to track salmon migration at sea and look at what temperatures and depths they're at, but these are new tags that haven't been used in our region to my knowledge, where they can actually have a sensor to tell us if the fish was eaten, and an extra sensor that's a temperature sensor that will inform us if it's, say, a seal or if it's a shark or a tuna. So we should be able to actually potentially split out not the specific species, but the kind of species, mammal versus, say, a larger fish predator.
Stock assessor Nick Kelly says things can rebound.
Within the Newfoundland and Labrador regions, although we're seeing declines in certain areas, and yes, last year returns were down, it is important to remember that there is variability in returns from year to year. So what we've seen overall when we look at trends in abundance on our monitored rivers with the time series is that we do see declining trends on a couple of them, but really most of them there's no trend or an increase in trend. So it's hard to say that on a grand scale salmon abundance in Newfoundland and Labrador has declined significantly. It's hard to say that with confidence.
Todd O'Brien, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, WestJet is launching a St. John's to Hamilton flight this spring. The route was initially flown by budget airline Swoop, which merged with WestJet in October. The announcement comes after discount airline Lynx Air ceased operations last month. The flights begin on May 17th and will fly 5 times a week until mid-October. WestJet is also resuming its St. John's to Tampa, Florida service on March 17th. Well, he's a long-distance runner, an Ironman competitor, and now Mike Daw has finished another journey.
We've made so many positive memories out of an absolute nightmare. I'm going to ring the bell, but we did this. I've been waiting 3.5 years for this, and here we go.
Here we go.
Yay!
Yep, there he is, ringing the bell, marking the end of his cancer treatment at the Dr. H. Bliss Murphy Center in St. John's. He's been fighting the disease since his diagnosis in 2019. During that time, he kept competitive as an athlete and fundraised for Young Adult Cancer Canada.
You know, it's been 3.5 years of chaos and turmoil. You think that Shanine was 33 weeks pregnant when I got diagnosed, and our little lady's almost 3 years old now, and this is the only way she's known her life. So Ed's in remission, and I'm the name on the page, but how amazing it is that how many positives have come out of this.
Well, now to some sports news. Brad Goujiu and the rest of Team Canada are on the ice at the Brier now, facing off against Shane Latimer and Team Nunavut. Right now, Goujiu leads Nunavut 8-2 after the 6th end. This is Team Goujiu warming up at practice earlier today in Regina. They're currently second in their pool with 3 wins and 2 losses behind the Northwest Territories. And Newfoundland and Labrador's Andrew Simmons picked up his first win at the Brier today as well with a 6-5 extra end victory over Yukon's Thomas Scofen. They're currently sitting in 7th place in their pool.
I got 2 gold and a bronze.
And what races were they for?
Cross-country skiing.
Well, a hero's welcome for Colin Rumbold of Lab West. We were at the airport for the big welcome home. That's still to come.
we haven't seen, or we've seen a whole lot of snow melt. It's good because we've got some more coming. I'll tell you all about it coming up.
This weather update is brought to you by the Healthcare Foundation Home Lottery. The bonus prize deadline is midnight, Friday, April 12th. Order tickets now at hcfhomelottery.ca.
Well, Cain's Quest racers continue winding their way through Labrador up the north coast of the Big Land. The race bills itself as the longest and toughest snowmobile race in the world, and for very good reason.
Yeah, nearly a third of the 32 teams who started the race have scratched for a variety of reasons. There are injuries, including one racer having to be airlifted to St. John's, not to mention the mechanical problems.
Yeah, the teams are now heading towards Nain, where they will have a mandatory 12-hour layover. I would imagine they would be pretty exhausted by the time they get there, my goodness. But at least, I mean, it looked like the weather so far is looking decent for them.
Very, very decent. Not a whole lot of weather happening. Temperatures, in fact, have been mild, relatively speaking, though, for the western portion of Labrador. Topped at about +1 in Lab City today, but heading towards Nain, you're definitely into some of the more wintry weather. -11 was the afternoon high for you. And across the island, we've got those temperatures mostly, for the most part anyway, above zero, with the exception of the northern peninsula, topping out at about -1 this afternoon. Now, we have generally high pressure just to the south of us, but we do have this little disturbance moving through. And on the backside of this area of low pressure is some very cold air. And this will play a role later in the week with our next weather maker. But for now, we've got some of that mild air continuing to track a little bit further east. So we're going to hang on to this for at least the next 24 hours. If we take a look at the future tracker, we do have that flurry activity and light snow up across the Big Land. That will eventually taper off as we get into the morning hours. And for most of the island, tonight will be quiet. It's going to stay mild as well, but we do have our next little disturbance that will bring some showers by the time we get into the early morning hours, starting on the southwestern portion of the coast, and we'll head further east as we head into the morning hours. So generally these showers will stay for, let's say, the southern half of the island for tonight, but your temperatures, like I said, will be hovering near or even a little bit above zero through the night. Winds generally out of the southwest, anywhere from 20 to as much as 50 kilometers per hour as your wind gusts. And then Labrador, coldest temperatures, there's that drop I was talking about, down to -14 in Lab City. But on the other side of that front, still relatively mild into the minus single digits tonight. As we head into tomorrow, though, like I said, that mild air is going to stick around. Daytime highs anywhere from 2 to as high as 6 or even 9 degrees for some areas. But like I said, the northern peninsula, still the chance that you're going to see a few flurries in the mix through the day. And winds overall generally light, still out of the southwest, hence those warmer temperatures, but they'll be anywhere from 20 to 40 kilometers per hour with that shower activity. Labrador, the southeastern coast, southeastern portion rather, is going to stay fairly mild tomorrow, anywhere from 1 to 5 degrees otherwise. Minus single digits will be the story with some sunshine, and late day you'll see some flurry activity for the north coast. So future tracker, we'll time all that out for tomorrow. There's that shower activity rolling through. Some of these showers could be a little heavy at times, and there's that potential for some flurries, like I was saying, for the northern peninsula. This system moves through fairly quickly with not a whole lot associated with it, but as we head into Thursday, this is when our next weather maker will move in. So as far as the rain is concerned, before this event, we're looking at anywhere from about 5 to 10, maybe a little bit higher than that in some of the heavier showers for the southern areas of the island. But that cold air will sink further south as we head into Thursday. It will change the potential for some rain over to snow, which at this point looks like we could see some heavy snow. Now that purple is the area that I'm watching. You know, this all depends on the track. That's the potential for some ice pellets. If we see this track a little bit further north, we could be seeing some freezing rain in the mix by the time we get into the afternoon hours. Just wanted to switch models here just to show you the difference in where that rain snow line is, and that really will depend on how much snow we see. So I'll give you a little idea as far as what I'm thinking at the moment. From the Thursday to Saturday morning time frame, this blue here is where we can see the potential for significant snow. To the north of that, likely just a little bit of snow. And then we've got that pink, which is a snow and ice mixture potentially. It's not saying that areas in the pink aren't going to see some significant snow, because that's certainly possible, but we've got a few days to iron that out. We'll have a long range forecast coming up.
Colin Rumboldt returned to Labrador West, a local hero. He was competing at the National Special Olympics in Calgary as the only athlete from Labrador, and he brought home 3 medals. Here Now's Daryl Din was at the Wabush Airport for his arrival.
We're here to give a big shout out to Colin, who's on his way back from Nationals. He did quite well. He got 2 gold medals, one in the 500 for cross-country skiing and one in the 7.5 freestyle, and he has a bronze medal too as well. So we're here to brighten his day.
Colin, you just got back from the National Special Olympics in Calgary, and I see you got some medals around your neck. Can you tell me what they are?
I got 2 gold and a bronze.
And what races were they for?
Cross country skiing, and we have 500 meter sprint, 1 kilometer, and 2.5.
It was super exciting. I had 2 skiers. They both raced 3 medals each, and we brought home 6 medals. So Colin brought home 2 gold and a bronze, and our other skier brought home the full set. He brought home a gold, silver, and bronze.
How's Nan doing?
Oh, Nan's doing good.
Proud of Colin?
Yes, very.
Now, were you hoping he'd win at least 1 medal, or were you just happy he got to participate?
Just happy he got to participate.
And when you found out he won all the medals, what was your reaction?
Oh, wow, that was awesome.
I wasn't quite sure what to expect, but when we got out there and we got, I had a lot of faith in the guys and what they could do. But it was really exciting when I also not only realized that they were getting medals, but they had a lot of personal bests. So you could see that their training and their hard work certainly paid off. And personal bests were just almost as good or better than the medals. So.
When you live in a remote area, you're not familiar with competition because you don't have anybody to compete with. When he went to the Winter Games last year for Newfoundland and Labrador, he came back strong with 3 gold medals. We were hoping there was a possibility that he would make it to the Nationals, and sure enough, he went to the Nationals. He trained hard, really hard, like outside the box hard. We thought there was a possibility he could do something with it, and yeah, he did. Yeah, he's a really good skier.
I was very ill, like on death's door. And these people worked so hard to save my life.
And she's still fighting and feeling thankful for the outpouring of support. We catch up with the St. John City Councillor just ahead. Well, Debbie Hanlon is in the fight of her life. The St. John City Councillor and real estate agent says her health was fine just a few weeks ago, but that changed seemingly overnight. Now she's battling an acute type of cancer and still coming to grips with the aggressive nature of the disease. She spoke with CBC's Martin Jones about the outpouring of support she's received.
Debbie, first of all, I just want to say thank you for doing this chat with me. Really, really appreciate this. So thank you for making time. I want to know, how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling grateful to be alive, grateful to be here. Every day I open my eyes, I feel grateful.
On a social media post, you described you having an aggressive form of cancer. Are you comfortable in sharing the type of cancer you're dealing with right now?
It's very unusual. They came when I came in on the 15th, and I was very ill, like on death's door. And these people worked so hard to save my life. And they just blasted the heck out of that cancer with as much chemo as possible. I had 8 treatments in 4 days, and then I had 2 very aggressive ones called the Red Devil after that, and then more after that. So they didn't quite know what it was. They knew it was acute, and it was spreading really aggressively, because I had blood work done 2 weeks ago and it showed me as fine. So this all happened within a 2-week period, to the point where I was on death's door. And so it's either acute lymphoblastic leukemia or a B-cell lymphoma. So they're treating it the same. They're just blasting the heck out of it, and it seems to be working.
Okay. I want you to take us back, if you don't mind, to when you got the news. You said 2 weeks prior your blood work was clear. Suddenly 2 weeks later you're fighting for your life. Take us back to that time when you realized something was seriously wrong.
I woke up on the 13th, and I went to council on Tuesday, and I was so tired. Like my energy is usually high, but I figured because I was tired that I get out and walk more. So instead of taking the car, I walked to my office on Water Street, and then I walked to City Hall. And then I went around seeing the girls for Valentine's and stuff. And then by the meeting started at 12, I couldn't keep my head up. Like I could feel it moving. And one of my fellow councillors says, "You don't look good, you should go home." So I went home and I did the meeting from home. And then that night it just seemed to get worse. My body filled with bruises, my mouth filled with blisters. It was so scary. And then I came in here and they were so good to me. You know, like the power of the people here, the nurses and the doctors and everyone. It was just overwhelming. But I was so scared. And what I put my family through, my son had to fly home, my daughter, my son, and my fiance never left my side. The 4 of them were here, you know, because you're going through it, you don't know, right? You know, like I'm in touching death's doors. I didn't know that. So my poor family were here through all that. It was quite a lot, quite a lot.
Last Tuesday, you made a Facebook post, a social media post, talking about your diagnosis. Why was it important for you to go, quote unquote, public with this?
Well, I have so many friends out there, and it just happened overnight. Like, people don't even know. I had dinner plans with my girlfriends for birthday parties, and we had an event planned for all of us to get together, and it literally happened right away. And I also started to feel better. And what made me feel better was the cards people were sending, and the really nice messages and the pictures. So when you get stuff like that, it's hard to feel down. So, you know, I wanted to thank the people because they're helping me on this journey. When I wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning and the light's coming in, the first thing I see are these beautiful cards, pictures of my family, pictures of people that love me, positive quotes, you know, like it really, really does help. It helps more than people know.
The post that you made, speaking of that support, almost 1,000 comments of support and love kind of coming your way, those greeting cards as well. Talk a little bit more about the impact that's having on you mentally right now.
It's really good, Martin. It gets me up. I am beating this cancer. Debbie Hanlon's life is not going to end in this hospital with this cancer. Not happening. I'm not letting it happen. I can guarantee you that. I am fighting this every step of the way. And these little cards and gestures, they help me stick to my routine.
Where do things go from here in terms of prognosis and next steps for you, Debbie?
Just one day at a time, really. We don't have any reports back except that it seems to be doing better. All my blood counts, I'm a bit hazy on that where they come and go. All my hemoglobin and my platelets my white blood cells. They're the things I've got to get up now in order to get home because I'm very immune compromised now. So I have to be, I can't see anybody except my family. So probably 10 days I'll be home, and then it's a long recovery from there.
Debbie, we send you only the best and the most healing of thoughts, and thank you again for making time for us. Really, really appreciate getting a chance to chat with you.
This is the longest chat I had since I got here. Truly. All right, thank you guys.
All the best.
Bye.
An archival special from Northern Labrador, revisiting an Inuit homeland in search of Arctic char. Watch Return to Cutthroat Sunday at 11:30 and Monday at 7.
The official opposition is calling into question the Premier and Health Minister's claims that the health authorities are fully responsible for the expensive and controversial travel nurse contracts. Those contracts cost taxpayers $36 million over 5 months last year. Today, PC leader Tony Wakeham says he has documents showing the Health Minister approved expenditures to Canada Health Labs, and another document showing the Premier's office was contacted by the same company before those travel nurses were hired.
You know, what we've heard today compared to what we heard yesterday. Yesterday, both the Premier and the Minister of Health were distancing themselves from this and saying that it was all the health authorities doing, they had nothing to do with it. And yet the evidence doesn't point that way. The evidence points to the fact that this company contacted the Premier's office, one of his staffers directly. There's emails where more than one staffer was emailed on. So this company contacted the Premier's office looking to do business Newfoundland and Labrador. Sometime after that, the health authorities entered into contracts with this particular company. And in between now, we're finding out that it wasn't just the fact that the health authorities did it on their own. They got their mandate from the government, from the Premier's office, from the Minister of Health's office. And their staff were directly involved. The executives of the department were directly involved in those contracts and knew what was in them. And if a Premier of the province or the Minister of Health wants to stand up and say that they allowed a health authority under extenuating circumstances, because that's what this is. This is not a normal operating line of business for health authorities to be in, which the Minister of Health tries to allude to all the time. This was an extraordinary expenditure, an extraordinary time, and they talk about having the need to use travel nurses. But this company was brought into this province through the Premier's office, and we need to find out exactly what went down.
A husband and wife team in Paradise is building a small baking empire. They've expanded in St. John's into vending machines, and their dream started long before they ever arrived in Canada.
Even in Armenia, when I was in Armenia and I first baked for Suren, he said, "You should have a business."
We were constantly trying to find some cakes that we were used to eat back in Armenia, but we couldn't find them here. They are either too sweet or the texture wasn't what we were used to. She started making the cakes, and we also thought of maybe accepting orders.
A year later, probably, Suren came to me and he was like, "We should get into the farmers market."
It was very competitive at that time to get into farmers market, but because of the unique nature of our products, they were willing to give us a spot.
Making those first money out of something I made was amazing. Farmers market is actually a great starting point for businesses because a lot of people go there and you don't have to try hard to find customers because they are already there. You just need to make them like your product.
Demand was so high, we really needed our own space, and that's when we found this spot in Paradise.
In 2019, when we were traveling to Toronto, we've seen this cake vending machine in the mall. We got a cake and we're thinking to ourselves, how cool it can be that we can have one here in Newfoundland. But it was just a dream back then, and the dream is standing here right now, which is amazing.
You can swipe left and right to switch between pages and find the correct product. I click on it, you simply tap. The machine here starts dispensing the product. So it's similar to the farmers market. Again, the demand is so high here in our shop as well that lots of customers, especially people living in the East End or even in Torbay, it's a little far to make the trip. It's 20, 25, even 30 minutes drive to come here. So lots of people miss out on making purchases because it's a little far, and we found this other spot on Stavanger Drive in a busy area, and we decided to open a second one there.
I mean, it's really nice, but if I look back, I wouldn't even imagine that I would come to Canada so far away from my country, and someone would know me, like in Costco, let's say. They would know me. This is a great feeling. I remember we had sleepless nights, a lot of sleepless nights, and I remember even that during the process of making a cake, I would even cry because I was that tired. But of course, it's very rewarding. I love it. I wouldn't do anything else in my life, I think.
With March break travel just around the corner, health officials across the country are bracing for a rise in the number of measles cases. Reported cases this year have already exceeded the dozen reported in all of last year. 17 cases confirmed in Quebec, Ontario, Saskatchewan, and BC combined. More than half of new infections are in the Montreal area and involve children. There are a handful of cases in Ontario and one each in Saskatchewan and BC. Today, none have been reported in Atlantic Canada. Infectious disease specialists say a small number of measles cases can escalate to widespread infections, as it has in Europe, where thousands are infected.
CBC is highlighting Black changemakers from Atlantic Canada who are making a difference, inspiring others and shaping the future. This year, we are asking you to help us identify Black changemakers who are bringing positive change to your community. So, nominate someone today.
I'm from Sydney, Nova Scotia, and I'm a Black change maker.
I'm a Black change maker.
And I'm a Black change maker.
Okay, so we're going to look ahead to later in the week, and that's where things start to change a little bit for us. You have a system that's going to be moving in that you're keeping a close eye on, right?
Yes, very much so. It'll be in the Thursday to Saturday timeframe, it looks like at this point. Let's just jump right into it, because I'm sure that's what everybody's talking about. A little earlier, I mentioned that we've seen quite a change in the snow depth across much of the province. And that's probably a good thing, because we're going to need somewhere to put this snow. But it looks like as we head into Thursday morning, we'll start to see some snow or potentially even some rain starting along southern areas of the island. As we head into the afternoon and evening hours, this will spread further north and eventually east as well. Now, keeping an eye on that pink line, that is the rain-snow mix or rain-snow line that will either be potentially some ice pellets or even some freezing rain. So all of this is certainly possible, but this does look like it will be a mainly Newfoundland event through Thursday, continue into Friday as well. So temperatures will be cold, minus single digits for the most part. Up across Labrador, you'll sit this one out. Lots of sunshine and beautiful temperatures, beautiful winter-like temperatures, sitting somewhere between -7 and -10 as your daytime highs. Then we get into Thursday evening and Friday, and the snow will just continue. At this point, again, where that rain-snow line and ultimate track of the system will determine on how much snow we see, but there is good indication that some areas may see very significant snowfall falling from Thursday through to Saturday morning. Eventually this will taper off. But as far as your temperatures are concerned on Friday, again, below zero for the most part, just a couple of degrees below zero. Northern Peninsula on Friday, weather will definitely improve, and we'll see that improve on the west coast as well. As far as Labrador is concerned, your temperatures will be sitting somewhere between -5 and -12 through the day, and again with some sunshine. So I'm going to show you this map one more time just to give you an idea of where we could see the significant snow, likely in this darker blue. Now, northern Avalon, including the metro area, depending on the track, we could see significant snow as well. The question is, and always is, how much ice pellets or how much freezing rain play into this. And if we do see that, it will bring those snowfall amounts down with it. So as far as the long range forecast is concerned, by the time we get into Saturday afternoon, things will clear out and the rest of the weekend looks quiet. Temperatures will be hovering around zero or about +1, which will be good for cleanup. Then for central Newfoundland, you're looking at your temperatures hovering around zero, back up above zero by the time we get into Sunday. And we're looking at a similar forecast for western Newfoundland. Clearing out nicely with temperatures between 2 and 5 degrees. Then for eastern Labrador, your temperatures are heading up above zero again for both Saturday and Sunday. And then for western Newfoundland, your sunshine will end on Friday with some more cloudy periods by the time we get into Saturday, and the potential for some flurries on Sunday. Now this photo, not quite dramatic sunset, but a lovely one nonetheless. This is in Fox Harbor.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Mary shared this lovely shot with us. Nice calm night. If you have any weather photos that you would like to share with us, you can send them to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
Oh, that is just gorgeous. Thank you so much for that, Mary. Really appreciate it. Okay, so we have another round coming. Getting through
Hopefully
it.
the last round.
We're getting through it one storm, one squall at a time.
Yeah,
we're working our way through. Things are getting
this.
better and things are getting brighter. So
next week, 7 p.m. sunset.
Oh,
Looking
that's
forward
great.
to that.
Yes, we can do this. All right, well, that's it for us. Thank you so much for spending part of your evening with us.
Good night.